It's talked about all the time in sports betting circles, but what exactly is reverse line movement? Because I promise it's not as complicated as it sounds. We're here today to teach you how to add this signal to your arsenal. More specifically, why lines move, how to identify reverse line movement, and when to take advantage. I'm Joe Holka. Reverse line movement can be a powerful tool when used correctly because it can identify which teams are being targeted by professional bettors. But let's take a step back for a second. Why do betting lines move in the first place? Actually, before we get too deep into this, if you're still wondering what a betting line is and what types of bets exist out there, make sure you check out this video right here before you go any further. Sportsbooks typically set the line for most events well in advance of game time. This much we know. The initial line is using a variety of different factors: power ratings, home field advantage, rest, injuries, tons of different things. But there's really no guarantee that it's going to stay stagnant for long. That's why we need to come in and analyze these types of things and try and figure out what types of moves are happening, what types of money is coming in. So for our purposes, talking about reverse line movement today, betting lines can move for a few key reasons, but one of the biggest ones is public action. For example, let's say the Chiefs open up as a 7-point favorite at home versus the Denver Broncos. Unsurprisingly, the public is betting with the defending champions, and a lot of the bets are coming in on Kansas City. Let's say 90% of those bets are coming in on Kansas City. Ultimately, the sportsbooks decide to move the line to 8 in response to that overwhelming action on that one side. But here's the fun part. Occasionally, the line will actually move in the other direction, the one that does not reflect the public betting patterns. So circling back to that same example of the Broncos at Chiefs, what if the public is absolutely hammering the Chiefs side, but this time that line actually drops from -7 to -6.5? That's a clear case of reverse line movement. So why would the sports books even do this? It makes no sense, right? If the public is just all over the Chiefs, why would they want to give them more incentive to bet on them in general? The answer is typically found by just examining some of the professional bettors out there. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into this in a minute as to how we can identify this, but the pros, or the sharps, whatever you want to call them, have much more power to move lines than the general public. That's just the reality. After all, these guys are proven long-term winners. Their dollars mean much more to the sports books when they come in. So if a majority of the professional action is coming in on a game on the opposite side of the public, the sports books are almost always going to side with the pros in that scenario. So there are two different factors that go into this data: betting tickets and betting dollars. Betting tickets are quite simply the number of bets that are placed on each side of a given game. Now, the dollar amount is not reflected in those numbers. So a $10 bet and a $10,000 bet would actually just count as one ticket. So this is just really important information when we're trying to identify who the public likes in a particular game. So if the public has an overwhelming preference, like typically the favorite, at least if we're going to look at history in that regard, you'd expect to see a large percent of the betting tickets in their favor. The reality is the pro bettors are wagering significantly more than the public when they like a game. So it could take tens or even hundreds of public tickets to even out that betting money from just one big money betting ticket from a pro. So in games where the pros are actually on the opposite side of the public, the betting dollars could actually look a lot different than the betting ticket. So let's just keep hammering home this Broncos at Chiefs example to kind of bring everything together here. So the Chiefs dropped from a -7 favorite to a -6.5 favorite, but the public betting actually looks like this, where the betting tickets are actually 90% on the Chiefs, 10% on the Broncos. The difference is if we get to the betting money side of things, let's say that the Chiefs are 55% of the betting money and the Broncos are all the way up to 45% of the money. In this scenario, the Broncos betting money percentage is 35 points higher than their ticket percentage. So that's just a clear indication that the significant sharp money is coming in on the underdog in this scenario. So you're probably asking yourself, when should you actually bet on reverse line movement when you do identify it? And it's a pretty difficult question to answer sometimes. Like, every situation, truly different. There's really no set of rules that are going to guarantee you a win. I don't have the answers to the test, unfortunately. So it is kind of something that you get better at with experience. But betting on teams that qualify for reverse line movement is definitely profitable in the long term. That's only if you can grab those teams before the line moves against them. It's very important. These late line movements also mean a lot more than early line movements, for example. So if a line moves in the reverse manner closer to game time, it's typically a better indicator of sharp activity than if it moves early in the day or earlier in the week. Betting limits are typically increased as the day progresses, so just a late reverse line movement move just really indicates big money confidence from the sharps. Ultimately, reverse line movement can be a powerful sports betting tool when used correctly, but it can give you insight to where the sharps have a differing opinion from the general public. Always a super valuable piece of information to have, because you probably want to be on the side of the sharps in those situations. But again, blindly following reverse line movement in every situation, far from the answer to the test. Just getting the best number is still going to be one of the easiest ways to become a profitable sports bettor, and targeting teams after the line moves against them ensures you just won't be able to accomplish that. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button before you get out of here, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. You're not going to want to miss those videos that I have for you right here, but make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything else along the way. Be sure and check out all of our sports betting content over at linemovement.com and across social media at line_movement. I'll see you guys next time.